Hey, this is Billy D. Welcome to Cascade Hoops Talk. This is going to wrap up the first week of season 7. Today we have Brian Blackburn. He's the head men's basketball coach, Florida College Falcons. He comes over he had a great playing career at Texas A&M. He's going to talk a little bit about that. Also, he's been at the high school ranks in Texas, which, as you know, is very competitive. He has a unique approach to coaching. I think you're really going to enjoy the conversation. I want to say in advance, I had a little bit of trouble with this recording. This is a problem that crops up every so often. It's kind of crackly. I fixed it as best I could. I think I've got a fix now, but I apologize to Coach Blackburn and to you. I think, though, I was able to get it cleaned up well enough that we can go ahead and use it. So let's get this thing going and kick off. Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Cascade Hoops Talk, produced in the shadow of the beautiful Cascade Mountains and bringing the world NAIA basketball. One podcast at a time. Well, as I say, today we have Brian Blackburn, head men's basketball coach at Florida College. Why don't we just get right to it and let's take a listen. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Brian Blackburn on the phone. Coach Blackburn, new head basketball coach at Florida College. They are the Falcons. Welcome, Coach.
Billy, thank you so much for having me. Excited to talk a little bit about our program and our players.
We're going to talk a little bit about you really come from the high school side over in Texas. I want to talk about that a little bit, but I want to start with, what was it that drew you to the Florida College job?
That's a great question. So my wife was a student at Florida College back in the day, and so she went to Florida College for 2 years, and so we were familiar with it just from her and her experiences here. And then my family and I were actually involved with some of the summer camps that Florida College does. They do a camp in Missouri, and that's where my wife is from. And so I kind of knew a little bit about the college and had an opportunity to know some people that were involved with the college, not necessarily on the athletics side, but I think that maybe at least got me an interview. And once we got here and started talking to the people and seeing the vision for the athletics program, and then obviously the success that they've had in basketball in the past, all of those things, we felt like it was a good.
So you're coming from a very successful high school coaching career in Texas. You've been at this now weeks. What are some of the things that jump out at you from high school to college level?
That's a great question. The first thing that I knew, just because other people told me, but is really true, is just how old college athletes are now.
Yeah.
I played college basketball at Texas A&M 2004 to 2007, Division I school, and we had only had 3 transfers in the 3 years that I played there total. And you had guys that were freshmen in college, and then they worked their way up, and they were gonna earn playing time. And now it's just a totally different ball game. And so we're gonna have players in our program that are 22 to 24 years old, and they still have eligibility left. And so I think that is the biggest thing, is there are grown men on the court, and that's what makes it so difficult for freshmen coming in now. And so luckily we're going to have some players that decided to redshirt as freshmen because of that fact. They trust us with the process, but they want to develop their bodies, get the experience, knowing that it's just such an older game now than what it used to be.
Yeah, there's just a huge difference in a men's body, 18 and 22. It's you can't even compare them.
You really can't, and that's what I'm telling some of these guys that are coming from high school. They're good athletes, they're good basketball players, but I just have to tell them, listen, when you're 21 years old and you're in your man body, you're going to be, but they just have to be patient and trust us with that. And luckily, I think we have some of the right people to do that, which is going to help our program in the long run, but it's also going to help them as well, kind of stick through some difficult times to start their college career. But that really is the number one thing that was eye-opening, is just how old most of the teams we're going to play against and the players we're going to play with are just much older than when I played college basketball.
Coach, how much of an advantage is that the players that you played, with a bona fide D1 program with some really great players. You definitely come in with your basketball props. Is that an advantage with the players?
It is, but in the long run, and you probably know this from the coaches, it really is just what we can do to help the players that we're coaching right now.
Yeah.
I think maybe it allows me to get a little bit of credibility to start off with, but then I have to prove it every day. And so just the fact that five of my college coaches are Division I head coach, and the fact that one of my roommates on road trips is a GM for an NBA team, like those things help to get the ball rolling. But in the long run, it's going to be me coming in every day and proving to my players that I'm there for them and that those experiences have helped. But really, it's my ability to help the players that are in the room right now. But it does get the ball rolling for sure, and I'm grateful to experience it.
I'm going to shift gears on you. One thing I did a lot of consulting, business improvement stuff. And one of the things we would always do is sit with the group and say, what do we want this thing to look like? And then we decide what it's going to look like. And then we'd say, what are the things we'll do every week and how are we going to measure that we're getting there? When I was going through your stuff, you have a very similar approach to building a basketball team.
Right. Yeah, I think so. We are our own small business in a way. The hardest part maybe is keeping people involved in the business more than 1 year. I think maybe with a job you can keep them a little bit longer, but I do think you have to look at what do you want the finished product to look like, and then you backtrack and say, okay, these are the steps we're going to take to make sure that our finished product is as close to the vision that I have. So we have as a coach, I have a vision in my head, and then I try to paint that vision for other people, and then we try to sell that vision to our stakeholders. And so that's kind of the process that I've used even at the high school level, and I've had some great mentors. Danny Henderson, who I worked for, when we were able to coach Marcus Smart and some of these guys. Danny ended up being a college coach, and he gave me some great advice with that. And I think it's something we can use even at a smaller college. It might even be easier because it's a little bit closer knit group. And so I'm with you there 100% on the idea that you build your program in that manner.
You really build it on three pillars. One, I saw one you call it the 3 C's. On another one, you just call it on-court, academic, and servant academics, community of the on-court.
Right.
Is it, it's so hard with 18, 20 years to keep that academic and the servant leadership up front and personal. What steps do you take as a coach to assure that the young men are meeting goals in those areas as well as on-court?
That's a great question. There's 3 things I think that help at an NAIA school. One of them is just the mission statement of NAIA athletics.
Yeah.
So we're going to get rewarded for doing those things that I like to do with our programs anyway. So our program gets rewarded when we have certain leadership activities through the NAIA, and so that helps a lot. Number 2, I just have to be really intentional with our schedule when we do these certain things. So there is one thing at our college. It's a dinner that the college hosts, and the day before this leadership dinner or the leadership gala, where we bring in a famous speaker, or Tim Tebow's spoken at it, Mike Pence. Wow. The day before that is a school-wide servant leadership where we go into the community and we all do something. And so there's some things built into the school that help. And so I just have to be intentional with what we do there. And then the third thing is, whenever I recruit our guys, they know that it's important. So I give some examples of things I've done in the past with students with special needs, or with the basketball night that we host for elementary and middle school and high school kids in the area. And so they know coming in that that's something that's important to me. But I'm with you. It's something that is unnatural, and it's something that we have to make a habit. But I think we're in an environment that allows us to do that.
You said schedule a minute ago. I'm going to shift gears on you again. Your October schedule is a nightmare. You've got a D2, a D1, MAC-U, and Langston in October. Are you going to be ready, Coach?
Well, the good news is the D2 game is a scrimmage. And so we're able to, that'll be a scrimmage, which is going to be very helpful. But some of these games were under contract before I took the job.
Right.
And so, ready or not, we're just going to do it. But it did help in recruiting. The fact that our guys knew that we weren't going to duck tough competition.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for it. Our guys are excited for it. I think it'll help with our preseason training. We can always kind of point back to, listen, guys, if you're not ready to do this, then what's going to happen when we get to our first game?
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that we're able to do to point to that. And but yeah, you're right. I mean, it is a gauntlet, and ready or not, we're gonna compete, and we're gonna find out what we're made of, and then hopefully, prayerfully, I'm gonna be thinking about the benefits of that as we get into January and February.
Yeah, it'll definitely pay dividends. Talk about the type of team that you're working to build, and talk to us about how your recruiting process is going.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that we were able to do, I was still working in Texas after I took this job. I was able to continue the relationships that I had through the state of Texas and use that to help build our roster. And so we're going to have 5 guys from the state of Texas, hopefully 5 guys from the state of Texas that'll help our program. And those were relationships that I had previously. And then the use of social media, extremely helpful in the recruiting process. And then I just have to do my due diligence and watch film of junior college players who may have reached out to me, or guys that are transferring that are reaching out, or recruiting services that I know about that are helping me. And all of those things combined, I think, are going to allow us to build a roster that has experience at the college level already. Guys from Texas that I know that I can trust because of relationships I've had in the past. And then Florida guys that help out with being familiar with the environment, the community, Tampa area, Orlando area, Jacksonville area, all of these places that maybe they're more comfortable in this environment. And so I think those are the strategies we have to build our roster.
The Florida College has had a pretty good fan base, a good basketball program. I've seen that you've done some rebranding around the gym, putting more color to it, focusing on the Falcon. Talk about your reception there at Florida College, what that's been like, and what are players' initial thought when they come into the program?
Right now, the players are really excited, I think. At the start of the year, no one's tired, everybody's fresh, and so everybody's excited probably at the beginning. For us, it's an engagement tool to try to engage the student athlete, the student body with the student athletes. And so our players, they knew what they were getting into. If anything, they were surprised about the main campus, how nice it was. We have a redone library, a redone cafeteria. There's some classrooms that are brand new with some different things. They were really impressed with that side of it. And then so through the summer, when we started doing these things to the gym, I think it just allowed them to buy in even more. But for us, it's going to be really exciting for students who've been on campus already. When they get on campus here pretty soon, now they're looking at it and they're like, wow, we're investing in athletics. And so now maybe there's some more buy-in from them. And I think it's just kind of a combination of those things that are going to build some excitement, bridge a gap between the student body and the athletes who maybe hang out at the gym even more. So I think those things combined are really going to allow us to kind of get off and run with the start of our year. And being a new coaching staff is going to allow us to kind of build some relationships that maybe there hadn't been in the past.
As you got onto campus, you got to meet people around campus. You got to be more from the facilities and the college itself. Is there one or two things where you said, you know what, this is better than what I expected right here?
Almost everything, to be honest.
Wow.
I came in pessimistic just because of maybe the NAIA kind of how the perception is. I didn't have very much experience with NAIA basketball, and I didn't even have very many players that played NAIA basketball. A lot of my guys, if they went to junior college first, and they ended up at a Division II or Division I. So over my career, I've only had 2 players that played NAIA, and honestly, they didn't stick it out. They didn't stay. Okay. And so my perception of NAIA athletics wasn't, I didn't have a ton of experience, and so I didn't really come in with expectations. And so whenever I started doing visits on campus with our players, and I saw what the campus looked like, And then the players are telling me, Coach, this is way nicer than we were expecting. Some of the things we have with our scheduling, we're traveling quite a bit. And so with our travel budget or the contract we have with BSN and Nike, some of these things I wasn't expecting. And so everything was a little bit more positive than I was expecting. And then I believe in the mission of Florida College. We're trying to build people, the whole person, academically, physically, and spiritually. I believe in that mission, and so it's not hard for me to sell that to our student athletes. But from a organizational standpoint, from a facility standpoint, a financial standpoint, a lot of things were better than I was expecting, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's really great to hear. Well, Coach, you got to be excited, huh? Get this thing kicked off in October.
I know. It's right now with our guys that are on campus right now, they're trying to get in the gym, 27 hours a day, and I'm like, listen, it's a long season. Let's stay healthy. Let's don't put one foot in front of the other. Let's not try to get the cart in front of the horse. And so that's kind of our process right now. Is I'm trying to temper my enthusiasm. There's a lot of energy and excitement around the campus with our basketball program and with our coaching staff and the new players and the returning players. I think there's a lot of positive energy and positive vibes. But as you know, it's a long season, and so we're just trying to temper some of those things and just get better one day at a time.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you giving us the time. I look forward to getting you back on as this season gets kicked off, and we can talk some Florida College Falcons basketball when the ball's hitting the hardwood. That'll be a lot of fun. I hope I can get you back on after the season starts as well.
Absolutely, I'd love to, and thank you so much for doing what you do. As an outsider from NAIA basketball, your platform has been extremely helpful to me to familiarize myself with different regions of NAIA athletics and basketball, and kind of speak the lingo and learn some of the different nuances of this job. So I really appreciate you and the platform that you've created to help guys like me transition to this position.
That's very kind. Thank you very much, Coach. That's Brian Blackburn. He's the head men's basketball coach at Florida College. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks a lot to Brian Blackburn, as well as to Florida College. A lot of excitement there, kind of turning a new corner, a new day there at Florida College. They have a great fan base there. Those students do support that program. So I'm really looking forward to see what Coach Blackburn can do there. Once again, I apologize for the sound quality issues. Trust me, I'm working as hard as I can on to make sure that doesn't happen again. But I do apologize to Coach Blackburn, all the Florida College fans, and to you for having to listen to it. This is Billy D. That's week 1 of season 7 of Cascade Hoops Talk. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.